Hey folks, it's Paul here again. Thanks for tuning in. So today I'm going to be talking about warming up on the guitar, and for the guitar and for your practice session or for your band practice session or for a rehearsal or for a record. What entails all that stuff. This is a guide for my students as well as for anyone else who is interested. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time now, so without further ado, let's jump in. So if you're new around here, please don't forget to subscribe. There will be a lot more of these kind of value-oriented content posts happening. This is stuff that I hope is evergreen and that people can refer to for quite some time. So if there's something useful in this video, it's very likely there will be something useful in the next one. So warming up for the guitar is different than warming up on the guitar. It's kind of like a two-stage process. That's the way that I like to perceive it. The first process is warming up to even begin to play on the guitar, and the second phase is warming up on the guitar. As someone who has suffered from tendonitis and from carpal tunnel syndrome to a certain extent as well as a very bouncy ulnar nerve, I'm someone who always wants to be very thoughtful about when I'm picking up and playing the guitar, especially when I'm playing at untold speeds above 200 BPM. As well as playing stretches on the fretboard, depending on what guitar it is, multi-scale or straight scale, and kind of gauging from there. If I'm not feeling warmed up or like I've stretched my hands enough, then I'll probably start to incur some damage, and then I won't be able to play for a little while. And that level of suffering I wish upon no musician. Okay folks, so here we go. This is what I like to do in terms of warming up, kind of front to end. I'm going to start with just massaging my fingers. As you can see, they're a little dry. The climate I live in is a bit harsh on skin. And I'm really going digit by digit, like literally digit by digit by digit. This seems to be the most effective way to get some new blood, oxygenated blood, into my fingers. Sometimes what I might do, other than doing this, which I'll show this in an example in a moment here, I want to do it this way. I really prefer this way of massages. If I'm quite cold, I'll drop my hands to the side, I'll lift my shoulders and shrug hard, and then just do that for a second, kind of shake out my hands. That just gets some more blood going in case it's a particularly frigid day here. And yeah, so to continue, I'm going to continue doing this massage here, kind of forcing blood to get through those tiny little veins and through the fingertips. I've got to work on a cover today, so I actually really need to do this warm up. It's very good timing. Yeah, definitely a little bit tough. Oh, but very much worthwhile. So after this, I like to bring my hands together, and I'm gonna just roll, but very, very slowly and gently. Just because this seems to expose, at least in me, what's the most obnoxious, what's the most painful thing I'm experiencing, but it's slow, so I'm not actually pushing it to a painful level. I'm not pushing anything really. I'm just rotating my hands, and it's just exposing to me where things are a little tight today. And right now I'm feeling a little bit tight here, and this is an ulnar nerve, from what I've read. So that's a little tight, so I'm going to be really extra gentle. That usually gets pissed off because I handle keyboards and mice and things like that, and play games and exercise, and it turns into a lot of stress and tension on that right hand. It's my dominant hand, and it also does a lot of picking and does a lot of tapping. And it does two finger tapping too, meaning like dee-doo. So it turns into quite a lot of pressure and repetitive motion, right? So after doing this for a minute, kind of feeling things out, I'll shake it out, right? And then from here, I'm kind of just massaging a little bit up the ulnar kind of nerve, as well as just up the muscles. Oh, and right around here, I think this is one of those pressure points. Right around here is where things typically need, as you can see, my middle finger is doing its own thing as I'm doing this. It needs a little bit of a massage, but I never overdo it. It really is all about comfort and feeling comfortable. So again, I'm almost wringing my wrist a little bit just to really bring some attention, some intentional massage basically, to try to get my hands really going and feeling mighty and feeling rejuvenated. Because this is really, quite an important thing to do. There we go with the middle finger again, right? That's how I know I'm getting to the right kind of spot pretty much. It's just right around here before the elbow starts. So from there, beginning to feel like something's happening, right? Well, one of the best stretches I found on YouTube was this one. Now, this one I'm going to give you yet another disclaimer because it can be a little bit painful. So I highly recommend taking your time with this next stretch. This one I found on YouTube and it was fantastic for me, and it'll probably work for you too, but really take your time. It's a secondary disclaimer, so I mean business here, folks. What I'm doing is I'm taking my hands, I'm stretching this arm out, and I'm pulling my thumb back like 90% of where it can go, and then bringing it to an 80% flexion. And then I'm just waving, hello, hello. It's kind of strange, I know, but this feels quite nice. I shake out after every single finger, and I'm doing this for both hands. Just waving, right? And remember, I'm going to 90% of the stretch, which is a little bit scary, and then I'm going to 80 because I don't want this to hurt. You don't want any of these stretches to hurt you. They're really, really tremendously beneficial, and I feel always so much more open and able to play these really great big chord stretches after the fact. Oh yeah, very, very strong. Okay, 4, and I'm doing it 5, right? 5 waves kind of per finger. 2, 3, 4, 5. You might hear my little puppy getting grumpy in the background because I'm talking to the camera. She's not used to that yet. 3, 4, and 5. Whoa, that was a bit too far. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shaking it off. Finally, my final finger. I used to believe that this was my most useless finger, and I'm completely changing my tune about that. Every finger is useful. So after doing some of that, I've shaken it out. I'm going to do this one more time, just to kind of feel where things are going. I'm feeling lots of clicks going on in my right hand, and I really don't like that. So today I might try to take it a bit easier when I get to the guitar practice portion of this. Or the guitar warm-up portion, I should say. There's lots of little clicks. You can kind of hear that. That's the sound of my ulnar nerve. I don't really love that. Okay, so after that's all done, what I like to do is I'll make a fist with one of my hands and start to kind of gently massage the space between my fingers to kind of open them up even more. I'm not really straining for this. It's just to get, yet again, some more blood going. I'm doing this, the same thing between every single digit. And I'm just letting it hang out for a second. Really feeling that and waiting about 10 seconds per space. So, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And shaking it out after each finger, after each space, just because it's just so important to do that, right? And finally this one, eh? This is a big scary looking one. 10. And I'm doing this for both hands because I don't really want one hand to be able to stretch more than the other, but that's what happens when you're a musician. You play the world's best instrument. The guitar always makes your hands a little bit funny after many years. So again, once you find a good stretch, remember, I'm going 90%, then backing it off to 80. You can see how my left hand's controlling the tension of my stretch just by lifting up my thumb, and I'm not moving very much. This is risky bisky. 10. I'm doing this for every single space. Every single space is getting this attention and this treatment. 8, 9, 10. And finally this guy. Whoa, this one's weird because I don't use this very much, but if I wanted to start doing more, for example, my finger picking, hybrid picking, flamenco picking, and thumping, I actually really want my right hand, my picking hand, to be adequate in terms of stretch and warm up. Okay, oh, that's nice. Now I'm ready to pick up the guitar. Alright folks, so now we're on to the actual guitar warm-up portion of the video. So what I've done is I've tuned this guitar to D standard, and I typically like to start with rhythm things. So I've set a metronome for 120 beats per minute, and I typically like to do a lot of downstrokes and upstrokes consecutively and then alternatively. So here's what I mean by that. So what I'm listening for is the consistency of the attack of my note with my pick on the string that I'm playing. That being said, it's really important to get your left hand warmed up and your right hand warmed up. So after I've done that for a certain period of time on the lowest 0 string, I actually move on to do the other strings. So this is what I mean. Again, I'm paying attention to the quality and consistency of the attack of my downstrokes and upstrokes, as well as the timing, because I really want it to be right on that click, not too early and not too late. So as you can hear, I was alternating between a whole bunch of different strings there, open strings, and I was trying to control my muting. You heard some mistakes and you heard some moments where it was really quite locked in, I would say. I'm proud that I can lock in after a couple of minutes of warm up, you know, that's nice. It's not something that I was always able to do. So that's really important because you're not always going to be playing on that lowest note of your instrument, and I find it really great to get my right hand acclimated to where I am picking. And that's leading me to my next bit of the video, which is left hand warm up. Now what does that look like? What does that sound like? Is this kind of exercise that, another disclaimer, is a little bit harder on the carpals of the fretting hand, but I find this to be extraordinarily beneficial for my left hand. So all that it really is setting a metronome and playing, for example, this is 7, 8, 9, 10, these frets here that my fingers are on the G string, which is actually an F string on this guitar. And I'm going down to that lowest 7, and I'm going back up to the G there on the G string's 7th fret. So I'm only doing this up to 20 times per finger. Anything more than that, and I really start to question if I want to damage my hand because it feels a little bit tighter after that. So I take a break. That's typically what I like to do to get my left hand, my fretting hand's idea of the string spacing on this guitar into it physically and mechanically. It's very different on my other 6-string and on my other guitar, which is an 8-string multi-scale. This is a straight scale 6-string 25.5 inch versus 25 or 26.5 to 28 or whatever that is. I don't even remember anymore, but it's different enough that I like to make my hands acclimate to the guitar that I plan on practicing with, recording with, writing with, before I start any of that, right? That's the idea. So just to show you a little bit of what's going on with this left hand exercise, I'm going to keep it at 120. It's nice, relaxed pace. So obviously it's one of the ugliest exercises that you could possibly do. It's not very musical, okay? I'm not talking that we're going to be doing lots of musical things right now, but that really gets my hand in shape to kind of get comfortable with the fretboard. You'll notice that I'm trying to keep all my other fingers down as I'm trying to do that. And I'm really listening for the quality of the transition. There were moments where it was crap, and that's because I've got a high gain electric guitar with high gain on top of it, and it can be difficult to control and to mute. But that's kind of also a part of the exercise. I'm really listening for the quality of the transitions, for the quality of my muting, for the quality of the note in terms of pitch. Am I squeezing too much, right? I'm asking these questions as I'm playing along with the metronome, and I really recommend that you do the same. One of the last things I'll say is if you want to immensely improve on the electric guitar or on any instrument basically, is to get what I call a mirror. Because it's a mirror. You can use a mirror, you can use the camera setting on your phone and just record yourself as you're playing so that you can identify in the privacy of your own video camera, and you're able to identify where things are kind of off. You know where to practice, and in terms of music, that's really, really valuable. Consistency is the name of the game, and I've found that these warm-ups make me extraordinarily consistent. That being said, all of the exercises that I did today, I recommend using different BPMs, different tempo, and different meter with those. The idea is mostly to do things that your hands are a little bit pissed off at you about. It needs to be challenging enough for you to feel like you can almost get it, but maybe not quite get it, so that you can keep focusing on it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I've been meaning to make it for a uber long time, and I hope that it provides some value to you. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'll catch you in the next one.